Now in our 6th year, this is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Yeah, this is Alex. This is the Ramble. We go until midnight tonight on the East Coast of the United States and everywhere else in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, he's one of the funniest comics in the business when he's working. Well,
which will never happen again.
It'll never happen again. There isn't a club. Is there any clubs open in the country? This is Larry Bubbles. This is Larry Bubbles Brown.
Texas and Oklahoma. I know a friend of mine did a gig in Utah last week.
Really?
They were allowed 50% capacity.
Yeah. But
So I don't know if that's dangerous or not. We'll find out.
I think I maybe asked you this last time, but do you practice in front of the mirror?
I used to when I was younger, but I don't anymore. I should, though, because I tried to I did a set a couple of weeks ago, outdoor show, and I was having trouble remembering 20 minutes.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Most comedians have a first line they always use in their act. The reason being that whatever you say initially when you step on stage tells the audience who you are. Mm-hmm. And you drag them into your world. So what is your go-to thing to do that? To tell the
one
audience?
I've had for years is things are going great. Someone stole my identity. Now his life sucks.
That's enough. That says.
But that's I do that because it just kind of I think in one sentence you pretty much describe your character.
Well,
things aren't going well for this guy.
Right. And now they all know who Larry Bubbles Brown is.
Yeah.
Because you're really a series of one-liners, aren't you? I mean,
pretty much. Yeah.
You're not a. I went to the airport yesterday, and I was walking down the. You're not that kind of comic.
No. But the one-liners to me are a little. To me, they're a little corny too, but they seem to work. So.
Yeah. So at least
no one did them better than Dangerfield. So.
At least you know how your act's going to start. You haven't lost that.
Finish it.
Huh?
Someone told me Dangerfield because he would do the trouble with one-liners. You can do 5 or 6 a minute, and he would. For him to do a full show, he would do 250 to 300 jokes. So I asked this guy that worked with him. I said, how did you remember those? And he said, he worried all day. He'd listen to a recorder for hours just listening to his material.
Really?
Yeah.
Because, everybody figures a comedian comes out, that's got to be the easiest job in the world. You just go on stage, tell some jokes. But you got to remember the jokes. That's to start with.
Yeah.
Even
if you're a comic that you do, like if you got the long stories, then you got the stories memorized. So once you start that, it's much easier than just doing the one-liners and figure out where they come next.
Well, you remember Richard Lewis. I mean, if there was a piano on stage, he put it there, but otherwise he put it on the stool. He had all his notes there, and then he would look at them. He was unabashed when it came to that, Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, amazing how people work. Slayton. I'm trying to remember if Slayton goes through his notes before he goes on. That I do know.
I think he does, and occasionally when he had new material, he would definitely take his notes on stage.
Yeah. But now, how does new material come? Does it sometimes just come on stage? You're doing something, and all of a sudden you make up a line to try and be funny?
Mine usually come. I'll be watching TV and hear something, and I'll have a reaction to it. That's how I get my.
Do you write it down?
Yeah, because a couple of times I did write things down, then I remembered I had a joke, but I couldn't remember it. So.
Because I know comedians who would go around with a notepad all the time. And
they do, and now they have most of them use little handheld recorders.
Yeah, but part of the reason, I think, is that if you don't write it down, you'll forget it. And then the next day you're going, I came up with a great joke yesterday, but I can't remember what it was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah.
That's in a Seinfeld episode that happens to. He wakes up and he writes something down and can't read his writing the next morning.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, that's the way it works. You know, it's how comedians do what they do, and it's not easy. It's not simple.
No, and I think there's like great actors like Brando apparently had a horrible time remembering lines.
Oh, he literally had them write his lines on cards that were on various parts of the set. That's why I would look up up in the air, and you kind of go, I don't know what that is.
Yeah, well, there's a picture of Robert Duvall, and he's got all of Brando's lines taped on his coat.
Oh, really?
Oh, it's a great picture. Yeah, he's got all the Godfather lines in this one scene. They're all over his coat. And so Brando's just looking at him, reading.
You know, you're an actor like Robert Duvall, who I think we have to say is one of the greater actors, okay?
Yeah, definitely.
And to suddenly realize if you're nothing more than a teleprompter for Marlon Brando, it's got to just be nuts. You know, what was that? There was something I was going to say, and then I forgot it. And if I had written it down, I would have been able to say it. I never work with notes. Never. People say, "Do you have notes?"
No, that's why you did. Like you did all those interviews, and it was just kind of a flowing conversation, which is I could never do something like that. I would have to write questions down.
Well,
that's why
you know, what people always say, well, what is your key to interviewing? Because I think I am one of the best. If I take claim to anything, I don't know if I can still do it because I don't interview enough people. I'm interviewing you now. But the fact of the matter is that they ask me, you know, how do you do a good interview? And I said, you don't do an interview. You hold a conversation.
Right.
And all you have to be is inquisitive about the person you're talking to. And I said, and the worst thing you can do is while he's answering you is trying to think of what your next question is going to be. If you simply listen to him or her, listen to their answer, the next question will be apparent. It'll just come because it's the flowing of conversation. It's what you would do sitting over a table somewhere. And so I never prepared for an interview. I never went and did research on the person. You know, I let myself discover them for the audience. My other theory was, if I know a lot about this guy, I'm 10 steps ahead of the audience, and I'm losing the audience. I'm not being the audience asking the questions. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. And so I don't study. Now, one time that turned out to be a bad thing for me, because there was one time I did not know enough about the person I was interviewing, and I should have, and it was Robert Wise, the director. You remember the director, Robert Wise.
I was down there that morning, yeah.
Yeah. What didn't I ask him about?
What was it?
I asked him, he did Star Trek, the movie, he did West Side Story. I had a whole bunch of questions about those. What didn't I ask him about?
The movie from 51.
Nope.
Okay.
Mm-mm. I forgot to ask him what it was like working on Citizen Kane.
Oh, I didn't know he worked on Kane.
He was the editor on Citizen Kane.
Holy Christ.
Yeah, and I failed. That would have been the whole interview if I had just remembered that.
Oh, my God.
Well, because I was holding my little...
I would love to have known what he said on that.
Yeah, my little conversation about something. And after he left, somebody said, you didn't ask him about Citizen Kane.
Jeez. But I remember it was still a good interview, but, man, I would love to have heard that.
Yeah, it was still a good interview, but it would have been a better interview if I'd been able to ask him about that because, I mean, what's the most watershed movie of all time? I mean, when I was a kid, I went to see this film, Citizen Kane. It was in re-release at a movie theater with a girlfriend I had in Sacramento. I remember this. And I saw the movie, and I walked out, and I went, now I understand what movies are. I understand that movies can be more than just, laughing at the Three Stooges or whatever, and that it, as a movie, it influenced me into loving film. And here's Robert Wise. I could ask him about my favorite picture of all time, and he goes, no, I didn't even ask him about that. I asked him more about the Star Trek movie.
He was the editor on that.
Yeah, I think he was the editor. Yeah, I don't think he was assistant director. He was the editor. He worked on Citizen Kane with Orson Welles. Wow. Or as Christopher Walken would say, wow. That's one thing I learned from Kevin Pollak once said, if you want to do an impression of Christopher Walken, all you have to do is take any one-syllable word and chop it up into two syllables.
Wow.
No, wow. So,
well, Citizen Kane it's amazing, and it still looks good today, and it's 80 years old.
He made that film in secret. He somehow convinced RKO that it wasn't what it was. And they made it, and they used existing sets, and they did it very cheaply, and he kept off the radar at RKO. And then the thing came out, and they went nuts, because Hearst went crazy.
Yeah.
Wouldn't advertise the film in any of his what do you call it? In any of his newspapers. And years later, Orson Welles said he felt that was unfair of Hearst because the movie wasn't really about Hearst. Part of the character may have been based on Hearst, but it's not supposed to be Hearst. His girlfriend, the opera singer, was based on a guy who built an opera house in Chicago for his girlfriend. Okay? And he said the thing he felt worst about was the insinuation that Marion Davies had no talent because of this film in which the girlfriend of Kane has no talent. He said she was one of the most talented women in movies, and she was. She was terrific. She was incredible. If she was held back, she was held back by Hearst, who didn't want her to do comedies. And she was doing movies for his Cosmopolitan Pictures. But the one thing nobody realizes about her, she was very wealthy. She had made a lot of money. She owned Columbus Circle in New York City. Literally.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
When he went broke because of the Depression and his whole newspaper empire was going to collapse, guess who shelled out the money to save it?
I didn't know that.
Yeah. She wasn't a bimbo. She wasn't a hanger-on. She truly loved the guy. And he said, that what I feel most guilty about was the insinuation that was supposed to be Marion Davies, because it wasn't. And whatever. Anyway, we have a couple of more minutes here, and that's good because I'm getting very lightheaded.
Yeah,
I don't know. I just said something. Maybe it's cancer again. I don't know.
At least we're not like our friend who's being evicted for no reason in Nevada.
Yes, right. We have a friend being evicted. It's Stephen Pearl.
Well, it sounds like a Kafka story. Like they won't let him in or out, but they won't tell him why.
Oh, really? Yeah. Well, I was supposed to do an interview with him yesterday, and then his cat had to go to the doctor, and then he wrote me and told me this whole thing about how he couldn't do it because he's got this and that, and he'll let me know when, and he can't get into his house, but he can't leave it, something like that.
I think if he leaves, he can't get back in.
If he leaves, he can't get back in.
He's got a robotic gate, and his name's been taken off the list or something,
Well, we have to go out there and feed him. Oh, I just lost Larry Bubbles Brown. What do you know? I'll call him right back here. We'll let this go a couple more minutes than it was.
Okay.
I don't know what happened to you. You just, boop.
Do we have to go and I'll let it without?
Yeah, but we were running out of time anyway.
Okay.
But anyway, so if people don't hear Pearl on the show for a bit, it's because he doesn't know where he's living or something. I don't know what the story is completely. I'll have to call him and find out.
Y'all have to call him, too, and see if he's all right. But he's had, like, the cat's sick. He's had a heart surgery.
Yes, he had heart surgery, and he had the $2,000 bill to get his car fixed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, other than that, everything's fine for him.
And there's no place to work.
Yes, exactly.
Things are great.
Hey, another week. We'll talk to you next week, right,
You
Bubs?
got it.
Okay, Larry Bubbles Brown, ladies and gentlemen, playing absolutely nowhere.
Now in our 6th year, this is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network. Talk like you've never heard it before.
And, of course, that was Larry Bubbles Brown, ladies and gentlemen. Larry Bubbles Brown. Let me turn on my fan here so that I'm feeling a certain coolness and whatever. Hello, how are you? Good evening. Welcome to our fine little program. And we'll talk to Bubbles next week. We check in with these people once a week usually to see how they're doing and so on. Yeah. So anyway, I'm tired tonight. I don't know what it is. I think what it is, I am so bored with being stuck inside the house that it's kind of a fatigue you get, I mean, there's the thing with the ears, which is causing me to wobble and do things like that. But the tiredness, I think, has to do with the COVID. It has to do with, not going out, not going anywhere. And even if I want to go out, there's no place to go. It's really, and what am I talking about? You people are going through the same thing. Well, wait a minute. Let me check in with my Zoom panel here, who will be getting together here. Here comes Charlie, and let me see here. I gotta go to the gallery view, and there they are. Wait a minute. Brian Neary isn't there. He's apparently he signed in, but he's not there. Hello, Charlie.
Hi, Alex.
Do you know what I'm talking about? Do you get to the point where you get to feel tired? Because it's just there's this thing about being indoors so much. It's just, look at my skin. Look how pale I am. Look how pale you are.
Yeah.
And you're not supposed to be.
No, not after being out in the sun all summer.
Yeah. But anyway, where's Brian? He's just not there.
Wow.
Well, whatever. Anyway, so how are you doing? And again, I always ask him every day, what's happening in Texas with the COVID?
Yeah, it's just we're only about 20,000 below California, like 850,000 infections and COVID infections. So we're gonna pass California in the next week or so.
Yeah. Oh, well, good. We're number one.
We'll be number one.
Will you be number one? Yeah. Well, we've had a slight spike here in New York, but it's not. They say, oh, there's a spike going on in New York, but compared to everywhere else, this is a minor blip. We have slightly more. Our infections are up a little bit, and our amount of people being admitted to hospitals is up a tad. But it's not like, Wisconsin, where they can't find beds.
Yeah, Wisconsin set a record.
They can't find beds for people. They're kind of in the situation we were in back in the day. But then again, we were in that condition back in the day because it was the very beginning of the whole thing, and we didn't know how to handle it. We weren't ready for it. Yeah. We didn't have the what do they call it? The PPE, what is it?
PPE.
Personal something.
PPEs.
PPEs. We didn't have the PPEs. So we didn't have enough hospital beds. I mean, we literally got a giant place that we have here where the Javits Center, which is, they have like car shows there and things like that. We retrofitted it with beds.
Yeah.
And the military putting the place together. Luckily, we got to the point where we didn't need to use it, but at least we're ready. And then Trump sent up the ship, which we should have never done because he'll never let us forget that he sent the ship, It's just, I feel malaise and tired. Now, of course, I bet Josh doesn't feel tired like we do because you go to work every day.
He's
right?
been working. Yeah.
You go to work every day. At least you get out of the house.
Well, I mean, I work 12 hours a day from 5 o'clock in the morning to 5 o'clock in the evening, so I guess I qualify as tired. Maybe it's just a different kind.
Is a 12-hour day legal where you live?
It's fucking required.
Oh, I see. Okay.
I'm in fucking management. You fucking do whatever you got to do.
Yeah, they don't.
If they call you at home and need something, you go in the room and get the computer that you bring home and take care of that.
Well, you know something? A lot of people, I think, are finding they're having to work from home now, okay, where they didn't have to before. And what they're finding out, I think, is how little work they actually do when they're at work. You know what I'm saying? In other words, Marjorie comes in here in the morning and does everything she has to do to maintain the job and what she's supposed to do and her duties. But it doesn't take her 8 hours. So most of the time, people at work are sitting there drinking coffee, talking to a coworker, then they go over to the computer, they type a few things in. Does that make sense? That they're now compressing all their work into one kind of workload and doing it, and that's it. Nobody's looking over their shoulder.
Some jobs, maybe, I don't know. It's not mine.
Yeah.
What's
Wish
that?
I had
What
a
meetings?
job like that.
Those are your meetings?
Meetings and meetings and meetings.
Really?
Yeah, and there's one meeting at 1 o'clock on Monday that says Alex Bennett pop up. And I say out of office, so they don't bother me.
Well, I'm glad you're that loyal about it,
Yeah. My boss can't see what the meeting is, so.
Yeah.
I agree, but there are a lot of meetings, especially for the projects that we're on, because we're trying to get these factories up pretty quick while we have this window of opportunity.
Yeah. So, but it's okay. We're surviving here, but it's just that I don't know. Today I was going. I'm just tired. I can't even. I was lying in bed and I said I'm going to get out now and make dinner, and I had to push myself to get out of bed and whatever. I mean, my body is getting very used to doing its blood circulation in a prone condition, I mean, it just, and then I decided, I go work out on the Peloton, right? Did 15 minutes yesterday, big deal. But at least it was 15 minutes. Sometimes I do 25. What?
That's better than nothing.
Well, I did usually do 25, but I only did 15 yesterday because it turns out it was a warm day and the Peloton is right near a window and the sun was coming through and it wasn't making it that much fun, right? So, but I did it, but then I went and fell asleep for a half hour. Yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. I mean, I'm glad I do that thing on Mondays at 4 o'clock because at least it means I have to somehow wake up, and do something. Hello, Brian Ludwig. Now we have two Brians.
Yeah. Hello.
Hello. Looking very much again tonight like Che Guevara. That's very good. Let's see. And your what is that schmata on your head? That's a Jewish expression.
No.
What
Just,
is?
it's the same. It's what do they call them?
A do-rag
face mask that I use to keep the hair out of my eyes as well.
Oh, really?
I have two of them.
And do you
One
use
here.
it? You use it as a face mask too?
Oh yeah. Well, I use the lower. I connect to both of them when I go out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. Marjorie went out today. Here, I don't know if any of you have had this dream recently, but I've had a continual dream that keeps coming up. And it's, I go out and I suddenly realize I didn't bring my mask with me. And what am I going to do? I'm out on the street and I don't have a mask. Okay? But that never happens to me. I think the one time, I always make sure I have a mask crumpled up in my back pocket in my pants, which, lasts me a week because I don't go out that much. So that if I forget it, at least I've got one, but I never forget it. I think maybe once I forgot it as I was leaving, and then I turned around, walked in, grabbed it, and left. Marjorie today got got about 3 blocks when she suddenly realized she wasn't wearing a mask.
Oh man.
Oh wow.
So what did she do? She went to there's a test site in our neighborhood. So she went to the test site and said, I don't have a mask. Can you give me one? And they here's one for you, right? But she was out there kind of naked,
Yeah.
Yeah.
because you want to wear those damn things.
A couple times I walked out of the office, the same thing. All of a sudden, when you realize it, you feel like embarrassed, like you're walking around with your fly down or something.
Yeah, but I also hate going out because I don't like walking and wearing the mask. I mean, I get short of breath and everything because the mask, you don't have any real breathing. You're recirculating your own breath inside that mask, and so I really, if I didn't have to, I mean, I hate wearing the mask, but you got to. It's you got to for you and for the people around you. So, but there is that dream that people have about going out and not wearing the mask. I always used to talk about, do any of you have recurring dreams based on what you do? What is that? Every
I
time
have no
I
idea.
start talking,
I
you
hear
hear it? Yeah.
It's feedback or something.
Yeah. Anyway, hear that? Oh.
Yeah.
Anyway, because of the job you do, you have a recurring nightmare about the job. And mine always was, what is that? Let me see here. I turn that off. Now it turns back on. Do we have it now? No, that got rid of it. Okay. Anyway, I have had this recurring what I called the radio dream, and I asked a lot of other radio people. There it is again.
Let me try muting, see if it's from my end, because I got to blow my nose anyway. But
Yeah. Okay. Is it there? Is it him? Hello? Anyway, yeah, it must be you for some reason. But anyway, I had this recurring dream that I'm doing a radio show, and I go out of the control room to go to the bathroom, and I come back, and the door is locked, and the record is coming to an end. Okay? It's a recurring disc jockey dream. And I've asked a lot of other people in the radio business, have you had that dream? And they go, all the time.
Really?
All the time. Yeah. That's our greatest fear. We'll never make it back for the end of the record. So, but I never had it happen to me in real life, but in the dream it does. And now I have the COVID dream where I go out and I forgot the mask, So what's new with all of you? How about you, Brian? I think you can talk and it's not a problem.
Which Brian?
Yeah.
Brent Liquid, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. We're fine now. Okay. Anyway, Brian Ludwig.
yeah,
What's new with you?
not a whole hell of a lot, just more of the same.
Yeah.
Wondering kind of on pins and needles, wondering if the schools are going to be shut down again.
Mhm.
A lot of them are. They've gone with the remote learning only option. I'm one of the few districts that have employed a hybrid method. That's soon to go fuller time for students below high school.
Yeah.
But, we're the whole uncertainty of it is just anxiety inducing.
It's anxiety inducing. Yeah. Okay. So, all right.
They're saying maybe through December with the kids here, but they never did a hybrid here. They did strictly shut everything down March 13th, and then they did virtual learning from the beginning.
That's what I think they should have done. They should one or the other, either 5 days a week or online only. None of this pussyfoot half in the water, half on land bullshit.
Yeah.
So what was a hybrid? They came so many days a week, or rotated, or
they rotate 2 days a week for certain students whose basically last names begin with A to like, and then Wednesdays are off. Everybody gets off, but we still get paid doing what I do, thankfully, because people would quit like flies and drop like flies if they didn't get paid. Nevertheless, and then students Thursday and Friday with letters ending in or beginning with P to Z. Then they do Thursday and Friday, but that's all across the board, kindergarten through grade 12. The board just voted on allowing starting the new semester, which is the first week of November, for all kids below high school, below 9th grade.
What state are you in?
What state?
Yeah.
Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania. Okay. Because, I don't know what the answer is here. If I were a parent, I would be very cautious about sending my kid to school.
Yeah.
You know?
Somehow that virus is magically going to not affect, K through 8 students, and they're not going to bring it to their grandparents or their guardians or their parents, and they're not going to pass it on to older people and whatnot.
Yeah,
it's
well, that's the myth. That's the current myth.
Incoherent. So I ask on Facebook, I ask along, and I'll ask on this board here. And I'm not an anti-masker, but at the same time, I despise Harrisburg. I despise Harrisburg leadership. I despise the governor, Tom Wolf. But I also hate the legislature, which is mostly comprised of Republicans who are, COVID idiots, as they call them. But, I just...
one day, Brian, one day when you're not looking, Brian, we're going to find something you like.
Well, you're going to need a microscope. You would know more than I would, Bennett, that as I age, the things I like diminish greatly.
Oh, yeah, I become more critical and also less accepting of things.
I was going to say that also applies to my level of trust in people. It diminishes and shrinks.
Yeah, but how old are you, Brian?
I'm 38. I will be 39 in February.
Hey, we'll save that for over 50, will you? Have some fun now.
Well, I'm
Pinch
sorry.
yourself.
When you were, I'll say to you, Alex, what I say to my parents. When you were in your 30s, when you were in your 20s, how are you handling the pandemic? All right, that's right. You didn't have a pandemic. We're all now. We're all fucked in the ass and in every other orifice you can think of.
I'm trying to think. Did we ever have anything close to that? No, we didn't have any. Well, if you were gay, I suppose there was AIDS. You know.
Unless you were alive in like 1918, you didn't have anything except for the Kansas City flu. I mean the Spanish flu. Oh no, I mean the Kansas City flu.
Well, wasn't there? There was a woman in New York known as Typhoid Mary.
Yep.
Who spread typhoid in New York. Yeah.
Didn't get sick herself. She just gave it to everybody else.
Yeah. She was asymptomatic. Yes. What?
Oh.
Did she know?
Did she know that she was a carrier?
Apparently. Yeah.
Yeah, she was quarantined her whole life.
Alex, you were in New York. I'm sorry, you were in San Francisco when the AIDS epidemic was there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but at the beginning, before they found out more about it, I mean, everybody was scared, right? I mean.
Yeah, boy, my tooth is bothering me all of a sudden. Little sharp thing, whatever. I don't know. There's always something wrong with me. Anyway, the AIDS thing was happening here. In San Francisco, and
but at the beginning, everybody was scared, right? Because they didn't really know what was going on, also, right?
Well, no,
everybody should have been scared.
there were several problems. What was going on? First problem is that the reason it was spreading in San Francisco, especially, was because of the gay newspapers. Let me explain that one to you. There was a guy by the name of Mervyn Silverman, who was the what do they call the head doctor in the city?
Surgeon General?
Surgeon General, surgeon, whatever. He was the director of public health or whatever. And he came up with this thing, and this AIDS thing started happening, and he went out there and said, there's this thing called AIDS, and I think the place it's starting is in the gay bathhouses. And so all of a sudden, the gay newspapers came out after Silverman and tried to get him fired and tried to get him taken care of, because who are their major advertisers? The bathhouses, the gay bathhouses. So they started going, oh, there's no problem with that, and they kept advertising it, and they then tried to get Mervyn Silverman fired, calling him homophobic and gay and whatever. And Silverman was absolutely right. Absolutely right. And so it was really the gay newspapers in San Francisco that hastened the whole thing. I mean, not that there wasn't a problem, but, if they had just said, okay, look, because some guy would come out of the bathhouse and go, I go there every week. I fucked 200 guys in there last year. Well, if you don't think something's going to come out of that petri dish, you're sadly mistaken, And they wanted to deny it because this was their place of social gathering.
Right.
And they should have gotten ahead of it, because it was not the gay bathhouse itself that was spreading the disease. It was the lack of protective sex that was occurring in a promiscuity.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. But
they did a major PR bumble.
But hell, if I were gay, I wouldn't think I needed a condom either. I wasn't going to get anybody pregnant. Okay, But yes, if everybody had used condoms, much like if everybody wore a mask.
Yeah.
So, and wasn't, and I hope I'm not speaking bad or speaking something that you didn't say, but were you saying before when you're on Live 105 that one of the problems also were a lot of gay guys who were lying to their wives and then would take that home?
Well,
that's how women would get it.
Yeah. That was another problem too. I mean, the guys who
I remember you saying that on Live 105 before.
Well, they were denying the fact they were gay. I think the idea of people getting closeted helped spread the disease greatly too, because people weren't ready to say, hey, I'm gay, I better take precautions and so on. I often felt that disease was one of the most horrible diseases ever, even worse than what we've got now, because the very thing you do when you love somebody is the very thing that could kill you.
Right.
And I thought that was a cruel mistake of nature to pull that one. Let me say hello to Kevin. Hello, Kevin.
Kevin's out cruising.
Yeah, he's out cruising.
Cruising.
Yeah. Oh, we just lost his
cruising
picture.
Salinas or
somewhere like that. But anyway, so I found that just a scary, scary time in San Francisco. And being heterosexual, I didn't feel as threatened by it, because the problem was there was a myth being promulgated at the time by the gay leaders that, oh well, if you're straight you can get it too. Well, yeah, you could get it, but the fact was the straight population wasn't getting it, because the method of transmission was different. And how is it different? Well, let's put it this way. You don't exactly put it in a vagina, okay? And it's the exchange of blood products that caused AIDS. And so if you were doing anal sex, you could break blood vessels, and your sperm could combine with this blood vessels being kind of disrupted, and that's how it was transmitted.
And heteros never do anal sex.
Well, heteros do anal sex, but I'm saying that doing normal heterosexual sex, you probably wouldn't get it,
Plus, I think the videos or the pictures of the people going through that were heart wrenching. I mean, to see people lose so much weight. And
well, I'll tell you what happened. I used to have comedians come in, and when this first started, all the comedians would come in and make AIDS jokes, you know. And one day I was watching TV and I saw a guy with AIDS on TV, and it was horrible. It was just terrible, you know, what was happening to him and how literally his autoimmune system shut down and he was getting things only cats get, you know, things like that. And I saw this and I came in the next day, and then to every comedian who came in, I said, new rule, no AIDS jokes. Yeah. And they said, why? And I said, because it's not funny. If you've ever seen anybody with AIDS? And I said, the only reason you find it funny is because it's about gays. You know, you find gays funny. And so in a way, it's a homophobic thing, too. So I said, just no more, not on my show. You want to go do gay jokes, go do them on the other station.
Of course, another way that heteros could get it is through blood transfusions.
Well, I had a friend, Warren Thomas, comedian, and he had a phlebitis, which is something that happens with the legs and blood vessels and so on. And he had to go to St. Francis Hospital and get San Francisco Hospital, and get blood transfusions.
Yep.
And then, yes, and then about a half a year later, he comes down with AIDS. Now, he wasn't.
Did his legs get real big? Because I had a coworker once who had phlebitis.
I don't remember. I really don't remember. He never showed me his legs.
He had problems walking.
But the thing was, he came down with AIDS. And when you're not talking, Brian, I guess you better turn off your mic because it is feeding back. Yeah.
He's got it all.
Yeah. Anyway, so what happened was that he came down with AIDS. Wait a minute, it's coming from somewhere else, not Brian. I don't know what this is tonight. Oh well. Anyway.
Well, we know it's not me, so
it's not you. Anyway, so I mean, he battled it for the longest time, and he was down to like 1 T cell, which that's it, right?
Wow.
And then all of a sudden they started coming out with these cocktails, and he started taking that. He went from 1 T cell to 10 T cells to 20 T cells. Finally got his T cell count up again, and survived it. And those cocktails are what keeping people alive today who get AIDS. You get AIDS today, it's no biggie. You just take the cocktails and that's it. You know.
They call it PrEP.
Yeah, they've never cured it.
It's a pill now.
No. Yeah, they've never cured it, but they have mitigated it. Okay.
It's like handling diabetes. It's not.
Yes,
so it's actually
exactly.
less lethal than having diabetes now, but PrEP. So.
And years later, he died of something. They found him dead in his apartment here in New York City. And I never got a straight answer what he died from, but I think it may have been complications from AIDS.
I remember Warren Thomas. He was very good.
He was one of the great comic, just a great comic, and a lovely guy. Everybody loved Warren. There was only one AIDS joke that I ever thought was funny and permissible. And I think I've told it here, but I'll tell it again because I found it very funny at the time. What's the worst thing about getting AIDS? Having to tell your parents you're Haitian.
That is funny.
You're Haitian.
I'm Haitian, Mom.
Yeah.
It's like...
But that was
my grandmother had a gay joke once. If you want to hear it.
Your grandmother had a gay joke?
How can you tell? Yeah, this is years ago. She didn't know I was gay, or no, I didn't. I never came out to her. But
did you know you were gay at the time?
She went like this. I had suspicion since I was a senior in high school, but I didn't really know for sure until 2007 when I was 25. Yeah. But the joke goes like this: how can you tell that you've been in a gay picnic?
In a gay what?
How can you tell that you have been at a gay picnic?
Oh, a gay picnic. I don't know. How do you know if you've been at a gay picnic?
All the hot dogs taste like shit. Now I can
Yeah.
tell that joke because I do suck dick on the
All right. Let's
not so down low.
Let's not get into that. Let's not get into demonetization.
And I'm eating apples with Nutella right now. Okay.
My condolences to you. That
We
Luckily,
lost.
my last ones.
at least they're not grapes.
We lost Kevin. But we'll probably get him back. Let me ask you. We were talking about the debate. When was it? Was it last night?
I think, yes.
And
Bits and pieces of it.
and what people thought of it. And I felt, and attribute to Bree here, that when the ratings came out today, Trump would have gotten the highest ratings because they were on opposite each other, Biden and Trump. And that Trump would get the highest ratings because, let's face it, people love watching train wrecks. And there it goes again, that damn sound.
Yeah.
Anyway, today the ratings came out. Sad news for Trump. He lost the ratings race.
I heard it was by 3 million.
About 1 million, I think, something like that. Yeah.
Biden
Oh
was
my
12.
God.
What, Bree?
Find the sharp objects in the White House.
Bree?
Yeah. That's according to the old traditional ways, which are long since gone.
What do you mean
But,
what
yeah.
do you mean what traditional ways?
Nobody I know watches TV anymore.
Yeah.
They only watch on their tablets.
Well, between the
I
two
watch it on YouTube.
between the two of them, they had about 22 million people watching. So is that nobody watching?
No, it's some people, but I'm sure more were watching through other means that are not recorded.
Oh no, they were all these things were counted, all these various outlets and so on. And yeah, today you could go watch a segment of it here and there, like on YouTube. Man, but again, Brian, cut your audio and let's just see if it's you. I don't know where this is coming from today, but it's driving me. No,
Oh, it's still
Me
going.
too.
huh? Let me see here. I have an idea. Everybody mute. Everybody mute at the same time. Let me see here. Okay, it's gone. Now, Bree, turn yours on. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah, we're fine. Bree, let's see here. Brian Ludwig, turn yours on. Okay, it's on. It's fine. Now, let's go to Brian Neary. Brian, turn it on. Hello?
Yeah.
No, it's not there. Okay.
Echo.
Yeah. No, there's no echo coming back to me here. And now go to Charlie Wallace. Charlie, turn yours on. There? And is it happening? No. And finally, Josh, you turn it on. Okay. No, it's gone.
Tony.
And
Tony.
Tony, turn yours on.
It's on.
It's not happening now. So apparently somebody turning on and off stopped it. I don't know what.
For now, we'll see what happens in the next few minutes.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of Technical Problems.
Yeah, I was hoping it's not yours, because if it's yours, you're going to be up all night trying to figure out what it is.
You know, I've
Yeah,
got
really.
That was the early days of MS Teams for me.
I've tried to get myself to the point where when I get some kind of technical problem, I just don't give a shit. Okay.
Yeah, right. That's going to work.
Because otherwise, I won't. The rest of my life will be a living hell. Anyway, they had the ratings for this thing, and and by the way, NBC, who Trump was on, was also on two other channels.
No, back.
By the way, it's back again. Who knows what it is? I have no idea. Anyway,
But as far as I know, this
There are
is unprecedented.
settings on Zoom where you can tell Zoom, fix my audio so that things in the background you don't hear. Maybe somebody has that on click.
No, that's doing away with background noise in a room.
Yeah.
That's not what this is. But anyway, whatever it is, it's not happening right now. Anyway, Trump was on 3 channels last night instead of just one. Biden was only on one, and he beat him.
Didn't know that. Oh,
Yeah.
wow, that's interesting. But this whole thing is unprecedented, as far as I know. That Josh can correct me. You can correct me if I'm wrong, Alex. Josh can, but I don't recall there being election year in which there was no town halls. There was no second debate in which there wasn't two presidents, a candidate and a president, or two, a battle royale situation. This is the first time that they've declined this. That the format has changed, as far as
Well,
I recall.
it changed because of COVID and the fact the president came down with it, and they didn't want to hold a second one while he was still infectious. Okay, so they came up with this thing about Biden said, well, I'll do a town hall over at ABC. And so Trump said, I'll do a town hall over at NBC. And rather than NBC saying, well, you do yours on Wednesday and Biden will do his on Thursday.
Or they could have done it. They could have done it like Zoom here. They could have had they could have had something like that.
Biden's went 2 hours, didn't it?
No, hour and a half.
Okay.
Hour and a half. But the fact was that that what this does is I can't imagine how this is disheartened. Okay, how this is disheartened Trump, because Trump always goes, oh, I had my inauguration. They were the highest rated inaugurations of all time, or I did this and it was the highest rated this or that, and he can't claim that now. Yes.
Oh, he'll claim it. He'll say the YouTube numbers.
But he doesn't know it. There are no YouTube numbers.
That's just
well, that's what he'll say.
Bree is on to something. They don't. People don't. Why watch the thing on YouTube? I watched it on the MSNBC, pipe through YouTube. So this is how Nielsen ratings. I don't think they don't incorporate that into their rating system. So
I think they do now to a certain extent.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think so. Not completely. I mean, these were the network numbers. But nevertheless, I wouldn't have thought that Biden would have beaten out Trump. Okay, plain and simple. Why would he? He's not the train wreck that Trump is, and you watch Trump for the train wreck. By the way, that person you can barely see is Kevin, and it kind of looks like David Letterman driving a car.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Looks like
what orientation do I have there?
There you go. There you go.
Oh, is that the way it works now?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know if it's going to work. I'm just driving home from Burlingame, so I thought I'd jump on and see if I can keep myself awake on the way home.
Stop by on the way home if you're tired.
Well, I'm in San Jose now, so.
Yeah, well, okay, I'm in San Jose.
You're traveling. It's unbelievable. I don't understand that.
Yeah.
But I don't know if Zoom works while you're driving, because I tried again earlier and none of the audio would work, so I may lose you and I'll just dump it.
Well, they
have a driving.
Outside of the fact that you aren't lit very much, it's fine.
Yeah, well,
On my tablet, on my mobile device, if I scroll to the left, it gives me a Zoom while driving mode.
Yeah, the speak button. Yeah.
Okay. That's good, because I was just saying Kevin should be careful if he has streaming video while it's on the dashboard. If it's in plain view of like a cop that comes up behind him or beside him, whether he be in a motorcycle or in a regular cruiser, he can, I don't know if it's like in Pennsylvania, that he can be pulled over for that.
So which one, Brian, when you watched it last night, which one did you primarily watch? I mean, you could always go back of the debate, of the town hall. Which town hall did you watch?
I watched all the reviews.
Well, okay. But I'm asking Brian, which one did you watch?
Sorry.
Which one did you watch?
Which Brian are you referring to?
Oh, Brian Ludwig.
Okay. Yeah, I only saw bits and pieces of the Trump version, and I paid attention to the Trump version because I wanted to see what the other side, what the other side was up to.
Now, at last
other
night,
side, I use that quotation.
Yeah, but did you then primarily watch Biden?
No, I didn't see Biden at all. I may watch it later on.
Because I have to admit, we watch Trump because there's nothing like a train wreck. I mean, he's good for, you can yell at your TV set. It's very interactive.
Plus,
Yeah.
I want to hear what his constituents have to say. You know, some of
Well,
them,
here
you know, a
was
lot
the
of them are
best.
out of work, and if they're not, you know,
I
turning
know.
left.
I noticed this last night, and I mentioned it last night. But if you looked at Trump over his left shoulder was a woman
Yes,
sitting
Jaylee
there.
Morey.
What was her name?
Jaylee Morey.
Is
Yeah.
that that bitch who kept nodding her head?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
I heard
Go
about that.
check her out.
Huh?
You got to go check her
I
out.
checked her out. What about her?
Oh, she's hot.
No, she's
It's an
not.
attribute.
No.
Oh, she is.
No, she is.
put-
You haven't seen it?
Yes, I saw her. I saw an interview with her today.
Oh, come on.
No.
All right, let's take a vote here.
But who was she? I know they're going to interview her.
I haven't
Who
caught
was she?
the
Actually?
name.
What was her name again?
Jaylee Morey.
Yeah.
Who was she? Just a head nodder?
No, she's a Trump supporter.
Yeah. A black Trump supporter.
That's all she's known for, is being a black Trump supporter.
Yeah.
The black
Well,
Trump.
The black
I mean,
Trump
at
supporter.
the
That
time.
and the other one that Kevin pointed out to me, which was a guy who shows up in the back of every one of his speeches.
Yeah.
Same guy at all his speeches. So,
Trump's African American.
yeah. Yes. We like our Negroes.
Then there's the other.
Myra Jolie. That's it.
Huh?
Myra Jolie.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
And you think she's hot?
Oh, I think so. Yeah.
Well, wait a minute. Let me see. How's her name spelled? It's Myra, right? Myra.
Yeah,
And
I'm
what,
trying to
Jolie?
get it here, but
Is it
My,
Is it Jolie?
what the heck is wrong with my
I'm asking you. Is it Jolie?
Mayra?
Oh, wait a minute.
J-
No, wait a minute.
O-
Mayra. Okay.
There you go.
And then is it Joli?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Oh, there she is.
Fine. Okay. And here she is. Let me
Oh,
see here.
looks pretty hot to me.
Let me
Yeah,
see
I
here.
think she qualifies.
There's this person named James Ho who says when Nixon was running against Humphrey, Nixon refused a debate and they had competing events at the same time. So apparently it's happened before, according to this person on YouTube in the YouTube chat.
Well, here she is. Wait a minute. Hold on a second.
She's not bad.
There she is. Hold on a second, folks. I've got the screen up here so you can see it. Okay, there we go. There she is. It's that woman right there. She was the one that was doing all the nodding. She's a former 5-time beauty queen, and she garnered 2.5% of the vote in her 2018 run as an independent in Florida's 27th congressional district. So there she is. That's Myra Jolie. Yeah, I'm showing her picture right now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So everybody could see it. I don't find her that attractive. She's kind of.
He looks like Rodman with a wig on.
Huh?
I like
Rodman or Pippen. Like Scottie Pippen with a wig on.
Well,
I like that.
Any of you?
That's good.
Yeah.
She picks up.
Any of you fans of R. Crumb, the cartoonist R. Crumb?
Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah, he used to have a character called Angel Food McSpade. So, I don't know what the sound is. What is that?
They did a movie adaptation of his life, didn't they? Was John Candy in that or something, or what?
No. You're thinking about Harvey Pekar. I think they did a movie about Harvey Pekar. Although, wait a minute, they did a documentary about R. Crumb. And at the end, he dies. But he's not dead. But he said, I'll only let you do the documentary if you kill me at the end so I don't get annoyed by people. You know.
Guy had a sense of humor. Got to give him that.
But the nodding woman, she was, and there was another woman there who was also doing the same thing. And then there was a guy in the center behind Trump who wasn't doing anything. And when they went to a commercial and came back, he was gone and replaced by another woman who was nodding.
Loyalty. He wants loyalty, right?
Yeah, he
He
wants
mentioned
loyalty.
Guardians. You're
He
out.
wasn't
Sounds like
demonstrative enough.
sounds like a junior grade level of psyops there or something.
Yeah, something like that. But anyway, so
I heard that some 370,000 votes in Pennsylvania were under question because people asked for double ballots. Like when they were in the primary,
and
they
where
asked
and
for
where did you
one.
where did you read that?
I was online, and there was another one in
that
Pittsburgh.
okay. That's very.
postal-
I'm glad it was online, because if it wasn't online, I'd know it wasn't true.
I think it's legitimate.
Oh, you do? Why do
There's
you?
also the case of a
What is the source on that?
What?
What is the source on that?
What's historic?
What is the source?
SOURCE.
Yes, I'm going to find it for you. There's also a postal worker in Pittsburgh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Was taking ballots and hoarding them. He's taking all kinds of mail, including people's votes.
He was a QAnon supporter, from what I understand, if I'm not mistaken.
So that
I've decided Bree is QAnon.
yeah. So
Alex is Antifa. Alex is Antifa.
But
so it's
there's been reports of people getting the wrong ballots in the wrong townships and boroughs and shit.
That's going to
It's just a
happen,
mess.
but I'll tell you something. If you want to know, we can start talking about improprieties just in normal voting.
Yeah.
That happen, where votes don't get counted or don't get sent to the county seat or transmitted to the county seat. So to pick up on stuff like this simply because it's mail-in, the mail-in has been shown to be far more accurate.
Yeah, remember those
and
hanging
efficient.
chads?
Yeah. Huh?
this is ProPublica. Have you ever heard of ProPublica?
Yeah.
Heard of them.
Yeah, but
ProPublica is reporting.
Like for instance, Trump was going, and in I don't know, some town or whatever, they found 7 ballots for me in a garbage can. I'm sorry. How many?
A partisan source? I'm not sure. It's .org.
I don't think so. Yes, Brian. That's okay. You don't have to show us.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I bring this up, and I believe what Bree has to say here in this regard because I live in this area, and but I am in support of making ballots easier for people, making the election process easier for people, and making it longer than one day. But also, I go so far as to say that hopefully sometime soon we can make it so that people can vote electronically, so that it can be encrypted, and so that this nonsense doesn't happen in as great a frequency as it has been.
Well, Trump doesn't like it because we're not going to necessarily have a winner on election night. Well, so what? You got the can't waits? We didn't know who the election winner was several years ago during the Gore campaign, right, Josh?
Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris said.
Well, I just asked Josh a question, and I wanted to see if he'd come up with an answer on it. Do you know anything about all these cases in the past where there have been problems with voting irregularities? I mean, we had it in Florida.
It's going to happen isolated cases here and there. I mean, Trump was complaining about some ballots, retweeting a bunch of stuff in the county right here that I work in Ohio, in Franklin County. It was a couple hundred ballots of this, that, or the other that were, and I'm like, I don't know that he should really complain about that too much, because if they start looking into it, they're going to find out that if anybody should be mad, it should be Joe Biden, because Franklin County, Ohio is the most heavily Democratic stronghold in the entire state. A Republican hasn't gotten elected in Franklin County in like 100 years. I mean, he's not going to win Franklin County, Ohio, but he doesn't think about that type of stuff. I mean, it's just You know, if I drop
You guys hear me?
if I get out of the car and my ballot blows away
Mhm.
and goes down the street and ends up in the sewer, and some guy walks by the next day and sees it, it'll be on the fucking Fox News by 6 p.m. that it was something hinky going on there. You know, I mean, the election's on. It's happening.
Yeah.
It's fair. We're having an election. We're not going to settle it with guns in the streets.
What do you think about this current thing with Hunter Biden and the fact that that whole story may be a Russian thing? Okay,
Yep.
Russian generated.
Columbus.
Yeah, I didn't hear really anything about it, but just a little.
Well, supposedly, what's his name?
I mean, I think it's pretty convenient. It just
Well, America's mayor, what's his
Show
name?
up.
Rudy Giuliani.
Yeah.
Supposedly got this stuff from a Russian.
Yep.
And then he and Steve Bannon held on to it. And supposedly it wound up on a hard drive on a laptop that Hunter Biden owned that he put in for fixing or something. And then they got this because they found the laptop with the hard drive, and the hard drive had all this stuff on it. Okay.
Wow.
Well, they're saying that sounds really hinky.
I might have to vote for Trump now.
Yeah.
I may not,
yeah.
Maybe I've changed my
Now,
mind.
here's the other part about this.
I mean,
It's
look, if you took that to criminal court, you might get held in contempt for wasting the judge's fucking time.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, seriously.
Well, I mean, this is another Russian hack. You know, to begin with, nobody has seen that this is definitely from Hunter Biden's hard drive. In fact, there's a picture of him on the hard drive, and he's sleeping in bed, okay, with a hash pipe hanging out
No,
of
I'm
his mouth.
definitely voting for Trump.
Yeah.
You know, you're going to tell me that isn't Photoshop?
Well, I mean, that's why I'm not voting by mail, and I'm going on election day, because something like this could come out and
But
change.
forget about that. We know this whole thing is like Rudy Giuliani playing Hinky with the election and dealing with the Russians and getting them to join in on this whole thing. But the part about it that has gotten crazy is that Twitter and Facebook have refused to run tweets and Facebook posts by the New York Post or anybody regarding this particular situation. And now you got your senator, Ted Cruz in Texas, who wants to hold an investigation into Twitter on why they wouldn't allow this information to be dispersed. And Twitter is saying, we wouldn't let it be dispersed because we now have a policy that we will not allow anybody to post any materials that have been hacked.
Well, why would the Republicans be upset about something that a private company like that does? Does freedom of the press not apply both ways? If I want to start a rag that does nothing but propagate
Josh, does
left-wing extreme ideas or right-wing extreme ideas, do I not have that right?
Yeah, but Josh, Josh, these are Republicans. Remember, in 2016, they said Obama couldn't appoint a Supreme Court justice because it was in an election year, and now they've suddenly changed their tune.
I mean, if Twitter was owned by the federal government, that I think would be a different case, but it's a private service that you choose to or not to install on your device. You choose or not to choose to read it. I mean, you know what I'm saying, and on and on and on. So do they not have some freedom there as well? Well,
I'll tell you what I'm really happy about.
Investigate all you want, I guess.
I'm happy that Twitter is not running this stuff, saying that we make it a policy now not to run hacked materials.
Right.
And that is one of the policies they set up because of what went on 4 years ago. And now
if you're on the opposite side of the fence there and you think that's abhorrent, then don't read Twitter. Don't install Twitter. Don't buy Twitter or whatever.
And the Russians are up to their
bankrupt and go away.
They're up to their nasty hacking again. First we go to Brian, then we'll go to Bree. Yes, Brian.
Yeah, I'll dovetail kind of on what Josh is saying. I think what makes also a crucial component, and why I'm siding with Josh here is because there's a difference between acknowledging Twitter and Facebook and platforms like them as just that, platforms, and not publishers. They're not publishers, they're platforms. And because they're platforms, from what I'm gathering, because they can't be the arbiters of what can and cannot be divulged to the public and, censored willy-nilly on a whim.
Well, if they let hack materials through, they'd get everybody yelling at them. And if they don't, they're getting everybody to yell at them.
The fact check sort sites. You see, when you share something on Facebook or something, you see below it, fact check. This information is either false, or it'll see this information is entirely false, partially true, or it's corroborated as true.
Right. Bree had his hand up. Bree?
That's how you do it.
Most people will just go with what they believe conforms to their beliefs. So, they're not necessarily tricking. There are some of us who do that, but the majority don't. Two things. One is small. If the Trump campaign was watching Kamala Harris with Don Lemon on CNN after the competing town halls, they have a clip they can use. She was talking about the Supreme Court, and she said it's illegitimate. They're rushing it. She said it's not that we're in an election season. We're actually in the election. People are voting now. She says it doesn't. It's already started, and it will end on, November 3rd or whatever the date is. But that's not true. It's not going to end on that day. Ballots could still be recounted.
Well, no, technically, the election.
Technically, it ends.
Technically, it ends.
Now, the other thing, if you caught it during Biden's town hall, he basically threatened. He said he's going to add justices to the Supreme Court.
No, he didn't.
If the Republicans go forward, he said how they play it now. And what he meant by that is if they call this off, and if they don't push this through, I will decide, we'll business as usual. But if they push this through, I'm going to add more justices to the Supreme Court.
Why they're pushing this thing through? This is their admission that they know that Trump isn't going to win the election. And this is also their fear and their feeling that they're going to lose the Senate as well. And they better do this now, or they won't be able to get it done.
And Bree, it's not a bad thing if Joe does that. That's perfectly legal.
Yeah, it's perfectly legal, but everybody's pushing him on, are you going to do it, aren't you going to do it? He said in about a week he's going to announce what he would do. I think his best answer is, I have to wait and see what the landscape is at the time. This isn't a decision you make just because, hey, you said in your campaign.
How many you think he'll add?
Huh? What?
3 or 5.
What?
He'll have to add 5 in order to get the majority. He'll have to add 5.
I think really to make things equal out, or not to equal amount, but I think you could do 2. I think you could do 2. And there are swing votes there. I mean, John Roberts now is becoming more and more of a swing vote. And even one of the ones he got in there has not always voted the conservative line. Yes, Brian.
All right, 2 or 4.
I figured that would get your attention. I say it should be 4, and I say that because they should frame it in a different way. My advice to him, not that he's listening, of course he's not, but 4 more would bring it to 13. There are 13 appellate courts, lower courts, and so they could make the case. They could spin it in a way to say that it's reflective of the 13 lower appellate courts, that we have 13 justices, ideally picked from those lower.
When we came up with this whole thing of justices, and they have this appointment for a lifetime, that was a long time. That was a long time ago. It's not now, okay? And I think that really what we should do is probably go for limited term of like 18 years. 18 years.
Yeah, they should have the same term as a president, 8 years.
No more than 20.
No. Here's what they proposed: 18 years, and that every 4 years a president is allowed to appoint 2. Okay. So that way it balances itself out, and nobody holds that thing forever. I mean, right now,
like the Senate.
If she gets in there, as young as she is, if she lives to be the same age as,
Ruth
Bader Ginsburg, God, she's going to be there for the next 50 years.
Oh, come on, that's crazy. Yeah, that's nuts.
And what do you think, Josh? You're the big constitutionalist.
I think it's fine the way it is.
You think it's fine the way it is?
Yeah, I mean, we're here. I mean,
if you had people in
these
there,
are the same courts that took care of business many, many, many times before. I mean, we're in a bad way at the moment because the ship is being steered by a fucking moron. I mean, we'll get through the storm here, and then things will be okay. I mean, you can add 50. What? It's not going to make any difference. I don't know that. You know, I don't buy into this. Who appointed them, and that's how they're going to go.
But Josh, you're perfectly fine. You're perfectly fine with lifetime appointments, Josh. Is that what you're saying as well?
Yes.
Okay, I disagree.
I mean, removing the lifetime appointment from.
What is the advantage, though, Josh? What is the advantage of a lifetime appointment, though?
Well, I mean, there are a few. One is, I think it makes the justices immune from the political process outside of their nomination or their confirmation. I mean, they don't have to.
Yeah, but I mean,
themselves.
if you say only 18 years, okay, they're just as immune because they're not going to have to worry about being re-upped. You know what I'm saying? It's not like they're going to run for it.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, there are ways of not looking at it. I mean, Justice Breyer has talked a lot about the fact that he thinks if you limit them to terms that you're going to end up with them being picked up basically just like former senators and former congressmen are to basically start an industry that lobbies to run the court.
Yeah, but you have people who have
back to argue cases and
yeah, but you've had justices on the Supreme Court who've retired. Kennedy retired, for instance. It
happens.
I'm just saying that I see no disadvantage to just saying 18 years. That's it. And in the meantime, you're free to make any decision you want without fear of being thrown off the court. It's not like we're going to renew you every 4 years, or the president can say, okay, you're no longer on the Supreme Court. No, it's a solid 18 years, and I don't think there's any pressure on you at that point.
I mean,
look.
I guess I just disagree. I mean, like I said, I think I would happen to agree with Breyer that if you start cycling justices in and out, you're just going to create a cottage industry that tries to lobby and control the court with money the same way that they've worked themselves into the legislature.
Let me throw this one at you, okay? A lifetime appointment to the Supreme Court. When was the first time they appointed people to the Supreme Court?
Well, the 1790s.
Okay, what was the life expectancy at that time?
I mean, I seem to remember it being around 60.
I think it was less than that. I think it was almost in the high 40s.
That's the average person.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is when you say a lifetime appointment today, it's far longer than it was when this thing was first thought up.
Well, it depends, but we also don't appoint people nearly as young as we used to. I mean, people, we've had chief justices during that period that were like 32, 33, 34 years old. That would be unheard of now.
Mm-hmm.
I think Justice Roberts was in his mid-50s.
Were they as political in appointing them in those days as they are today?
Well, I don't think it was as political now.
Yeah. I mean, I just think we have to protect the democracy, and I don't think we're protecting it by allowing this kind of thing that's going on right now to happen.
I guess I wouldn't agree. I mean, I see that more as an abdication of the people for their power. I mean, you act like once the court is done, it's done. The people can overrule the court. They just never do. I mean, if the court says tomorrow Roe v. Wade is the doomsday scenario comes true, and all I hear is, yeah, but 6 in 10 Americans don't agree with that, and blah, blah, blah. And all that might be true. But the second part of that equation is, but how much do they care? 6 in 10 or 7 in 10 might think that abortion should be legal, but how much do they care about it? Because the court could say that tomorrow. I mean, they could just up and just say, you know what? It is overturned. It's done. It's thrown out. It's fucking finished. I mean, we're going to write it so that every single nightmare came true for liberals, et cetera, et cetera. And the next day, the people could say, you know what? We're getting us some fucking lawmakers in there, and we're undoing this. And if the people won't do it, that's the people's problem. It is not the problem or the fault of those 9 justices. It is not their fault that they could not satisfy the 360 million because the overwhelming majority of them were too lazy or too stupid to elect lawmakers that would represent their desires and their intentions.
Jeff hasn't said anything tonight. You want to say anything, Jeff?
I'm always very curious if you use your 18 years exit strategy, how many people that are already on the court that would be here 18 years already and you're going to have to throw them out right away?
Probably.
Oh,
You know, but I don't know how many of them have been there that long
Just
now.
about everybody.
I'm thinking they'd be grandfathered, if anything, as a conciliatory.
Okay,
member.
grandfather
They'd be
them in
grandfathered
and then start the 18 for any new appointees. That would be
balance
one way
of power
of
and all
doing
that nonsense.
it. Kevin, how are you doing, Kevin?
18 is
Kevin's
long.
still driving there. We see him. He kind of looks
Hear me?
looks like ZZ Top going down the highway.
Oh,
You
yeah.
hear me?
Yeah.
Put the radio.
Oh, okay.
No.
I'm in Gilroy now.
Garlic. I can smell the garlic.
Yeah, it smells like garlic. I just crushed a bunch of it.
Every time you go through Gilroy, you smell garlic still, right?
It's more like onions right now, I think.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. I used to love it
Kevin,
when you
I have a
go.
question.
Yeah.
I have a question for Kevin, also for Mr. Neri. Anybody who lives in California, is the exodus from California as bad as I'm hearing it on various YouTube channels from like more right-wing, right-of-center pundits and whatnot?
I hear from the media, but I don't see it yet.
Oh, really?
My neighbor just moved from Hollister to Texas.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just said screw it.
Well, they're exiting New York City at the present time.
That too.
But and Trump brought that up, going, "Oh, things are so bad in New York." No, that's not the reason they're exiting. You know.
I
Yes.
think
A lot
it's
of
still
these people
really
are
low.
buying 3 houses down there for the price that they had here.
Yeah. Bree.
Something that I read today was interesting. There's a bakery in Pennsylvania, and they sell cookies for Trump and they sell cookies for Biden, and they limit the numbers so that somebody can't come in. And they say they successfully predicted the presidential race in Pennsylvania since they've been baking cookies. Right now, Trump is outselling Biden cookies 3-1.
Well, that certainly means now that, of course, Biden hasn't got a chance.
Oh, fuck, I'm voting for Trump now.
Yeah, because I don't want to be on the losing side of this.
Yeah, and who do you think eats more cookies, Trump or Biden? Fat ass.
Yeah.
And that fat ass, all these other people are like eating cookies.
Good point. But, I'm of the camp where I'll believe Biden wins when I see it on election night or like in the next.
Right.
I'm
Right.
sorry. I just have to see it to believe it. I'm from, what's that expression? I'm from Missouri, the show me state. You got to show me.
Yeah. So, anyway.
Make a quick comment about the mail. If we go back to the mailboxes, but they've had a bunch of mailboxes out here in California that have been put up that were not legal, and they're all Republican mailboxes.
I heard about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they won't take them down. They won't take them
All
down.
How many votes have they already trashed?
Anyway, hey, listen, I'm playing the theme.
What do you think?
I'm playing the theme.
Breaking up.
Hey,
Okay, I can't hear it, so go ahead.
Yeah, I want me to hum it for you. Thank you, Charlie. Appreciate it.
He is a good hummer.
And Brian Neary, thank you as well. The little darling isn't there tonight, huh?
No, it's Friday night. She's up. She's playing games.
Oh,
Roblox.
she's playing. Oh, okay.
She's ready for me to play with her.
Okay. Good
Yeah, go
dad.
do that.
Good dad that you are. Josh, thank you so much. Hope to see you soon. Brian, always nice having you here. Brian Ludwig. Bree from Kuala Lumpur.
I gotta
Nice,
change my name.
really nice. And of course, Tony, great to see you. And Jeff, you've been quiet tonight, but we think the world of you, and we love having you here just to see your face there and that great beard. And the other great beard belonging to Kevin, who's driving down the road, who is either ZZ
real
Top
beard.
or David Letterman, one or the other. Everybody, why don't you kind of, give it a big wave goodbye, and I will wave goodbye back at you, okay? There they go, ladies and gentlemen. That's the I forgot to wave. Okay, that's it for tonight. That's our citizen panel. There'll be another one getting together right after we're through here with Jack Bishop in the intersection. He'll be using Skype, and the number you call is GabNet Live on Skype. GabNet Live. In the meantime, I gotta go. I'm running over time now. I gotta go. We'll see you again on Tuesday night, 10:30, same time, same station in life. And in the meantime, as always, if you see her, tell her I love her. Please be safe out there and do yourself a favor and your fellow person a favor and wear a mask. Good night, everybody.